Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm David Walker, and I'm going to introduce Vanda, who will be talking to us about Mind Chi. Two items of our housekeeping. Please stay on mute. There's a lot of people on the call, and also if you have any questions, please note them in the chat. I'll monitor the chat, and we'll ask them to Vanda at the end or at an appropriate point. So I'll do that. So with that, without further ado, over to Vanda.
Thank you, David, so much. And it's been so wonderful to see you all popping up on my screen. So hello and welcome to a day that's very special to me. It is the launch of Mind Chi and the Changemaker Group partnership. And our gift to you through the Changemaker Network, which is the charitable arm of the Changemaker Group, is to provide you with some extra resilience. And so that's our gift, and that's what we would like to do today. So what we would like to do is to start with the end in mind. And today it is about building resilience, first and foremost for you. Because if you don't take care of you, and isn't that the hardest one to do, you won't be able to be all that you wish to be for your family and your work and your team and your community. Everything I share with you today is simple, practical, incredibly doable, and very powerful. It is to be able to help you build your individual resilience. Many of you have been seeing this Changemaker journey that we have been on. This is based on the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And it is interesting because recently, a lot of you have been slipping back into the depression and the frustration. And in fact, James Hamblin said that now he's, by the way, a medical journalist. He said that the new almost pandemic is that people are suffering from numbness, from powerlessness, and from hopelessness. Now that is a really, really serious situation, and one that we can do something about. As I speak with many of you, and my Changemaker fellows have said the same, that a lot of you are dashing backwards and forwards between climbing up towards the new norm where you feel you might be making it work and slipping back to frustration and depression. And the key reason for this is lack of control of what's going on around us. The research says that one of the worst things you can do to a human in the area of building their negative stress is to take away their feeling of control. And so my goal for today is to give you back that feeling that you are in control of one very important thing, and that is in control of you. Here is the first simple activity, and I suggest you do this quite frequently. You'll see that there are two main lines. The top line says stress level, and the first thing I want to say is that if you're alive, you will always be stressed. The light, the temperature, whether you've eaten or not, all the physical things, before we begin to add the emotional things that might be going on, the psychological, the intellectual, and everything is a stressor on you. And during the day, they will fluctuate. You will have more of them and less of them. So if you were to look at that line, have a little think about, where might I be in where my stress levels are at the moment? Then what is really important is that is only one aspect. And if you look at the bottom line, it's the strain level. This is where the stress begins to have a negative effect on us. It's where we begin to think, uh-oh, I'm beginning to feel tired, overworked, all of those numbness, powerless, and hopeless. This is where the strain starts to show. And so what would your line be And because I can't actually see you, if you want to pop in the chat, you could just write your stress level is high, medium, or low, and your strain level is high, medium, or low. Now you can do this for yourself. You can just think about it, and then you know, oh, do I need to note if my strain level is heading towards the burnout? And then you know you need to take action. This can be done with a family. Pop it up on the refrigerator and say once a week, just check in with everybody. How are things going for you now? Do it with your team at work. This is an immediate snapshot of how people are managing. People may have high stress, but as long as they don't have high strain, they are doing fine. And many of us love to have quite a stress level. We actually thrive on that. But please, please, please be careful. If you see you're heading towards the burnout, then take action, because burnout is incredibly hard to come back from. Next,
And
I'm going.
there are the people are writing in the chat. Malcolm is stress medium, strain lower, but still medium. Zarina low. John high. Nikki medium low and feeling lucky. Jill is medium. Celia medium to low, medium and strain medium to high. Simon medium low. Andy stress. Anyway, there's a real range there.
Brilliant. To the ones of you that are high stress but mostly high strain, please spend special attention, because you need to take care now before it gets too serious. The next two slides have on them questions for you to look at where are you now. Because if you don't note where you are now, you won't be able to measure your improvement. And after I've quickly introduced you to Mind Chi, which I hope you might try for 28 days, I suggest you come back and do these two slides again, take the questions, so you can see what difference it's made for you. And by the way, I want to say that although I'm going quite fast with this information, there is a link which David will nicely put up in the chat for you that will give you a copy of all these slides. So you will have all the information plus a little bit of the backup that I'm saying to you. This now is the beginning of the 8-step, 8-minute Mind Chi routine. As you can see, it is very simply built in 4 sections. The clue is in the start. That's where you begin. We look at taking care of a breath and our brain. Then we go past the last 24 hours, now dealing with this very moment, and then into the future. So you see there's a chronological order that makes sense. So let's begin knowing that you are supported with lots of extra materials. First of all, if you would put your one hand high on your chest and the other one on your six-pack. And if you would take just a couple of breaths and note which hand is moving more. And again, if you'd like to participate, and thanks for all of those responses earlier, just let me know it's the high hand or the low hand that is moving most. Why is this important? A breath is immediately the way you can control the natural stress and strain reaction. So we have a particular breath. It's called the square belly breath. And what you do is you breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, out for 3 seconds, and stay empty for 3 seconds. And if you do this 5 times, at the 3-second time, you will have a minute. The power of this is amazing. I know it is just a breath, but if the next time you're feeling that spike of stress, just even say just a minute and do 1 or 2 rounds of that breath, you immediately are giving 20% of every intake of your breath's oxygen to your brain so it can function the way you want it to do so. With step 1, we've taken control of our body and its automatic response. With step 2, we observe what's happening inside our minds. And this is an observation. Step 2, on this minute, what you do is you just think of 1 and you repeat 1 in your head. And you may be sitting there thinking, that's fairly easy. And what might happen is you're kind of beginning and you're going 1, 1, 1, 1. This is easy. As soon as you think another thought, you go up a number. So now it's 2, 2, 2. What are we having for supper? Oh, 3, 3. And it's just to observe what number do you get to by the end of your minute. Now, if you are going to have to do something that requires a lot of concentration, then I suggest that you look to get your number down 1 to 5, for example, 1 to 4. So go and do something that you know calms you, or do mundane stuff that you know has to be done. So you can bring your thoughts and regain control of your brain. So you see, just in the first part of Mind Chi, the first 2 steps, we've controlled our body and our brain and our responses. Now we go back and we look at the past. And you may think initially this is a bit strange, but as you do this repeatedly, you will find the power of this is enormous. In this next minute, step 3, the 3rd minute, you imagine a video running back for the past 24 hours. And you think of, where might I have done, thought, said something that I would have been more proud of than what I actually did. And this is not for you to berate yourself. It is for you to say, okay, next time, what would I rather do? It is to pull the lessons, because normally these things happen with those closest to us, the ones we would least want to hurt. And so if we can put in mechanisms to build that relationship rather than to dismantle it a little bit, it builds and builds and builds. So you look for those, count them on your negative hand, and at the end of the minute, you say, thank you very much, and let them go, because the past is past. So it's important then to wrap it up and move on. That's counterbalanced by step 4, which is to go past those same 24 hours, but now you look for those things that you are proud of. And you know, the thing about it is, I'm not saying to be braggadocious, but just to think, oh, I worked really hard on that form. I did my best on that report. I was pleased with myself for doing this. And oh, parents out there, please do this one with your children, because I find so many of them don't have a feeling of their success, and their feeling of success and yours is tied with your feeling of self-confidence. So it is so important that you begin to build the success bank. If you are feeling a little low, maybe write them on pretty colored paper, put them in a lovely glass jar. And when the universe gives you a bit of a knock, you can look at that jar and think, yes, look at all those successes. I can manage this as well. So that's the next 2 steps of looking at the past. And now a crucial one, and that is how we manage now. Now this one is based on cognitive behavioral therapy and many of our other good proven psychological processes. It's the down and dirty. And what we use is the acronym BEAT. And so if you touch your thumb to your first finger, it's to do like a quick scan of your body, like a little x-ray scan. And just even as you're there, do you have any tension in your shoulders, in the back of your neck? Is your jaw tight? Is your tummy happy? Just check your body. And then you go to E, emotions. And I have this imagination of a long corridor, and down one side are all the negative emotions, and on the other side are all the positive emotions. So if you find, for example, that you have gone into the grumpy room or the frustrated room, then stop and say, is this the room that I need to be in to be able to be best at what I'm doing? Then you go on to A, which is action. And this one is really, are you only using the amount of energy you need to do what you're doing? So, for example, somebody sending an email when they're happy, somebody sending an email when they're not. That's a waste of energy. So you're just checking, am I using appropriate energy? And T, thoughts. This is that little chi character. It's that voice inside your head, that little one that talks to us the whole time. And research shows that most of our internal chatter is negative. That's constantly pulling us down. And so what I say is you need to say thank you to that negative for sharing, because it may have given us a point of something we need to be aware of. And now what you want to do is to listen to that little voice that says, come on, do it again, one more time. You can do this. I've got great faith in you. And in fact, I often liken this to having these two little chi characters sitting on your shoulder. And this one is doing the negative and say this one is doing the positive. And I see people I've shared this with in business meetings kind of quietly going like this and saying, thank you, goodbye. I need to listen to this one. So that's how you do this check of how you are now, which leads to the power of choosing, is that how you want to be? So immediately, and you can pull this one out and do it just like this as you're walking to a meeting that you're anxious about or getting ready for a phone call. You can just go, right, I'm a little tense, I'm going to wiggle, I'm going to get up, I'm going to move. Emotions, if I'm in that scared, unhappy, frightened, whichever the room might be, what is the room that would be the best being room for me to be in for what I have to do? Is it to be flexible? Is it to be attentive? Is it to be caring? What do I need to be? And then actions, just check. Are you using only the energy you need? And T, thoughts. Are you listening to the voice that is supporting you and cheering you? So you can see, you can check your beat. Obviously, these four intermingle. And so we're putting them together and pulling them apart just so we can be sure we've looked at all of them. So that's your beat, and that's giving you immediate control over now. And that's an incredible power that you can feel you have, which leads us to go on to the fourth and final quarter, which is going into the future. And the first part for this is where we go now forward 24 hours. And we think, okay, so I know some of the things that I have to do. What is maybe I haven't thought about is, what is my best being, as we spoke about a few minutes ago, for what I have to do? And so you plan ahead to have the right emotional state around you, with you, and go back to it if you fall off that perch, to be able to help you go through what you have to do in the day. What they say, just as a little reminder, is that we are human beings, not human doings. So consider your being state as something that is a really crucial thing to help you be your most effective, whatever you have to do. And the final one, and I love this final minute, it's a minute of gratitude for all we have or will have to be grateful for. There is a growing body of research that says that thinking about things to be grateful for is extremely good for you. It just builds up your resilience. It builds up your optimism. It builds up your hopefulness and your powerfulness, and hopefully removes the numbness. Being grateful also gives you the attitude of gratitude. So as you go through the day, you might happen to just more consciously aware of when somebody does a little nice something for you, a little bird alighting somewhere, a smile or a gesture. And you just gather those thinking, when it comes to my minute, I can particularly think about that and put it into my minute of gratitude. So all of these things build up, give you this entire 8-step, all done in just 1 minute, just 8 minutes, 1 minute for each step, which can make a radical positive difference for your life. And if possible, make this a routine, make this a habit. So pick a time of day, if it's possible, first thing in the morning, maybe as at your lunchtime, it's only 8 minutes with a cup of tea in the morning or the afternoon, when you finish and begin your evening, or just as you're falling asleep, to do this on a regular basis. And I think you will see that there is a growing difference, especially if you can do this for the full 28 days, having recorded at the beginning where you are now, and then 28 days later, doing those questionnaires again and seeing where you are at that point. Because everybody has to try and see if it actually works for you. And so just for today, maybe today being the first day that you give it a go, you can choose to be in control of you. It starts with being aware, and then it is having now, particularly the breath, which gives you an immediate control over your automatic response, saying, I am in control of me. And this will all get knocked in life. And it is appropriate to dip down when you are knocked. But what is important is to know that you can come back, fight, and that you have the coping mechanisms to be able to keep going, to come back again. It's called bounceability. And so regardless of what's happening around us, you will have the gift of resilience and bounceability to be able to carry you through with joy in your days. So I've covered an awful lot of material in a very short time, which is why David is writing in the link, the link for you to be able to get additional information. If you would like more of this for your organization or for your group, please contact us at thechangemakergroup.com or me, Vanda, at thechangemakergroup.com. And since I see we still have a couple of minutes, if you would like to write any comments and questions, and if you have anything you're grateful for, pop that in the chat as well. David, do we have any questions, or how is everybody doing out there? Lovely to see all your faces.
We're doing great. We're doing great. There's one question so far. It's from Jackie. Should you use the dominant hand when checking beat?
Okay. Good question, Jackie. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Just whichever one you feel more comfortable. Actually, you have reminded me. I was saying when we were counting the negatives, we did it on whichever is your non-dominant hand, and that you got rid of it at the end. When you're counting your positives, do it on your dominant hand, whichever that one is. And then at the end of that minute, you hold onto them, you grasp them, you pop them in your pocket. So thank you for a reminder of a little piece I forgot. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's a question from, sorry, it's moving reasonably quickly now, from Nadine. How do you mark the time between each minute? Is it an app?
Yes, that is a good question, Nadine. And there's a variety of different ways. One of the things I'm going to be putting up for you is a very simple summary, which is where it just times the 8 minutes. There is also an app if you have an iPhone, and we'll put the link to this up. It's a young man who's creating this, and he's just doing the next version. And what that again does is time the 8 minutes. I'm fairly sure you can set your phone to do a repeat 1 minute, bing, 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 bing. So you've got those. What I did at the beginning, before there were any of these others, was I just had a clock with a second hand in front of me, and I would sit and just watch as that second hand went around. That's wonderfully low tech. So there's a variety of different ways, and thank you, because sometimes it is that simple thing that will stop people from getting started. So do write your questions to me. I will get back to you on emails with any and all of the questions and answer them. So don't ever think this is a silly question. Just please do send them to me and I'll be delighted to share the answers. Anything else? How are people doing? Where would they breathe?
They're doing great, and there's lots of people saying thank you for everything you've done this morning.
Absolute pleasure.
Another question about, do you think these questions or do you journal them too?
Oh, great question. Actually, a couple of things. And again, if you sign up for the Changemaker Network, I'll be popping additional resources. One of them is a tracker. It's a 28-day tracker where you can just write how you did for each of the 8 steps. If you are a person who likes to journal, I so recommend that you do keep a journal, because it is your journey to resilience. So this is something you really want to record and remember. And particularly if life gives you one of those whacks, which it does every now and then, you need to be able to have things, rocks, to be able to stand on. And this will remind you of that iron rod of strength that you have in you. The more you get tested, the more your resilience is tested, the more you're knocked, the more you're building your resilience, and the more that you know that whatever happens, you will bounce back and you will be stronger and better than you ever were before. So yes, journal, yes, record, yes, paint, capture, do any way you would like to do, because it is your very important journey.
Nadine, I was finishing Nadine's comments there. She says, I can see this being a super useful start to my day. Thank you. I've been struggling to set a routine, and that's what this is all about.
Great. Nadine, if you can, I don't know what your day is like, but just look at it's only 8 minutes. And the reason that it's 8 minutes is because I was talking with executives as I was training them, and they were saying how stressed they were. And I said, well, don't you know about basic stress things? And they said, yes, but I don't have time to do 20 minutes here and there. And that was when I came back and thought, how can we pull the best of all we know, how we can condense it? And it started off as 12, and then it went to 10, and then 8. And I thought, nobody can look me in the eye and tell me they cannot make 8 minutes for their resilience and well-being. So Nadine, I hope you can find the perfect 8-minute slot, and let me know how you do, please.
Lorraine says she's always grateful to hear from Vanda, my favourite bouncy Tigger, which is related to your bounce ability. Andy makes the point that there are some YouTube videos which we will promote. Great session from Zarina. Really enjoyed that from Sun Cranny. Lynn's very grateful to hear about you talk today, and important to reinforce the knowledge. Thanks for a piece of sunshine today. Simon Phillips has added a link to the Changemakers Network forum on Facebook. There's lots more information on there. Sarah, would it ever be appropriate to spend more than 1 minute on a step if I have time?
Absolutely. It's yours. It's not cast in stone. So please feel free to move it around as you need to. If something particularly is an issue you're working on and you have the time, then by all means do. Or come back to it and just go, I'm going to put a nail on that one and pop back and do it again a little bit later. You can repeat steps. So particularly the breath and your beat, You might do that 4 or 5 or 10 times during a stressful day. So it's yours to take and make work for you. Great question.
Lots of lovely comments, and we'll make sure you see them after, Vanda. Can you break the 8 minutes into chunks throughout the day, or is it best to do it in one session?
Okay, it is best to do it in one section. Doesn't mean to say you can't do it also in chunks, but there is something about your brain that likes a unit of things. And when you start, it likes to get to the end. And so if you can do it as a unit of 8 minutes, it is best. And Andy mentioned about the videos. Yes, there's a whole section of videos. And again, you'll find them. We'll put up links as we go through, and they do each of the steps individually. And then back to the question about timing, there is one where I just give you the key word and then time the minute. So that's another way of timing that minute for you.
And that's the end of the questions. Is there anything you'd like to say to finish, Vanda?
Just thank you, everyone, for coming along today. It's very exciting to me, and I hope that this serves you well and helps you to feel you've built your resilience, you've built your control over yourself. And please make this the beginning of a conversation. Please write to me, vanda@thechangemakergroup.com, and let's see how we can help you further. Thank you very much for your time, and David, for your help.
No, thank you very much, everybody. I have included, you'll have seen the link in the chat several times to our main webpage, and from there you can access the slides and some other material around today's event. There will be a recording, and once we've produced the video from that, we will include it in the Changemakers Network forum, and we'll put it on YouTube. You'll then find links to that. We'll put it out on social media, and we're all over social media. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks so much.